Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Player's Take, episode 178. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host. He's jealous that I played Magic yesterday. Montrell Rice.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, man, you never bought your commander deck. You just kind of gave up on it, Like
I didn't give up on it. You guys are going crazy right now.
into the idea, and then Snake spent $1,400, and
And then I was like, you know what? Too rich for my blood.
I mean, okay. I played with Andy and Jet yesterday, and it was actually a pretty even game. Jet didn't have his own deck, so he used Andy's two decks. I won by the skin of my teeth. It was like pure luck, honestly, that I won. But it was even enough, though, even enough of a match that it was like, okay, so this is kind of how this is supposed to feel, isn't it? And I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, man, when we play with Snakes, it's just going to be this he's going to be like a black hole, pulling everything towards him, Like we're going to have.
Thing about Snakes is he's really bloated, but I don't think he has a strategy yet.
So no, I don't think he has a strategy either, and I see very clear weaknesses in the deck. He has no counters. He has very few instants, so he's going to be really susceptible to manipulation from us. And there's going to be three of us. Like he's got big creatures and big enchantments that do really obnoxious shit, but he doesn't have ways to protect that shit when he puts it on the field for the most part. So yeah, that's going to be his weakness. We'll see how it plays out, but it's going to be fun. I had a lot of fun actually playing Magic yesterday, so I'm glad I got into it. I'm probably not going to play with randos, but I mean, look, man, just buy a pre-con, one that looks interesting to you, and give it a shot. Like try it out. You don't have to spend a shit ton of money like we did. All right. You don't need to be a psycho. All right. Montreal. Before we get into the show this week, we got a situation we have to talk about in the car industry, the automotive industry. BMW did a thing, and they're getting blasted for it. So they are offering a subscription for heated seats in their new cars. This is a real thing. What the fuck is going on over there, man?
All right, can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I lost you for a second there.
My mic stand just completely fell off.
Oh shit. Okay, so I was just talking to myself.
No, I heard everything you said.
Okay.
I'm trying to get my mic in order, but I can still talk. So it might sound a little rough with y'all, but whatever. I blame everybody. DJ, if you listen, I blame you. I blame everybody involved in the gaming industry. Microtransactions wouldn't even be a thing, man.
We've unlocked Pandora's box, dude.
Yeah. It wouldn't even be a thing now.
Bro, we're gonna start seeing this with movies, television shows. I mean, there's no end in sight, Like you can do this with anything, Oh man.
The simple fact that I think it's really egregious with the cars, though, because the features are already in your car.
Yeah, it's like on disc DLC, man.
Yeah, it is. Oh my god, it's exactly what the fuck it is. Yeah. It's on car DLC. Like it's crazy. Like I know I'm just joking, DJ. I don't blame you, but yeah. I don't think car companies would have got this idea without the rise of microtransactions in video games. Video games, and I know this is but just work with me, y'all. Work with me. All right. So right now, video games is the highest grossing entertainment industry in the world now. As you can see, we're going to get into it later. Everybody's cashing in on it. Everybody's investing in video games. Everyone knows now what video games can do, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think we're going to start seeing more companies invest in video games, more random leaders, more countries, and more partners invest in video games and stuff like that. Yeah. If video games gets to Wall Street, it's over. Video games are dead. But a lot of people are learning from video games, and microtransactions is one of those things. That's the reason why video games are so fucking lucrative.
What people will tolerate.
Yeah, and not on top. And on top of that, not just video games, but like subscription services in general. Why buy something when I can just, get a subscription service for like $10 a month and then just pay that or whatever.
Yeah.
Even though on the short end I'll be paying less, but in the long end I'll be paying a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of car companies are doing, or a lot of companies in general are thinking now. People will just subscribe to shit. Why buy a copy of fucking Marvel's Avengers or all their movies when I can just get a subscription service and get all their movies on command like that?
Yeah.
And if I
Well,
don't want to
it's
pay for it,
also
I don't want to pay
long-term
for it.
revenue for BMW, right? Like, think about it. When you buy
Exactly.
a BMW, you buy it, and that's it. That's the end of it. Once the car is paid
Yep.
off, their relationship with you is over beyond maintenance, which more than likely you're not going to go to them for anyways. So they don't make any money off you at that point. This is their way to continue that transactional relationship with their customers and continue to make money off cars that have
Exactly.
long since been purchased. So I mean, it's smart from a business sense, but my god, this is like horrific. It really unlocks the floodgates. If cars are going to do this, what stops anybody else from doing it? They're going to start charging you DLC fees for television shows. There's going to be this little offshoot miniseries, part of your fucking season of Stranger Things, or fucking a movie or some shit that has shit like that too. Like I don't know. There's no end to it really. I mean, Apple kind of does this stuff. So does Nintendo actually with like hardware where they won't sell you the power brick with the fucking phone, when you buy a phone from Apple. You have to buy you got to buy the power brick separately. It's like, bro, it's a fucking it needs a power brick. Just sell me give me the fucking power brick. Don't charge me
also with Apple too, right?
for it. Yeah.
They charge you more for iCloud. Like if you want like 50 gigs, it's like 10 cents or like 10 cents or like $1 or something like that a month or something like that. And it's like, what? Like this is what we're doing. Like this is where we're at now. Like
everything is nickel and dimed as much as it can be, dude. Like as much as we will let them, And
so I don't know where it's gonna go. Like imagine buying a house. Like this is why I am so against smart houses. Like people are really trying to get the smart houses and stuff like that. Because I was gonna actually install the Google temperature thing in my house because I heard like it can lower your bill like almost by 30% or some shit like that. Thing. Right. So I was gonna install it, but I was just thinking like, man, I mean, this is like an extreme example, right? But I'm like, man, what if like I get that and they're like, oh, it's a subscription service to use like the heat for the fucking winter time. I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? Subscription service use the heat. Turn my fucking heat on. Like, and then someone tried to use an example like, well, you buy a house, right? And you got to pay for the fucking gas and everything like that. Like, that's not really your gas. That's the city's gas. That's the city's water. That's the city, right? It's not your house. But imagine paying to get like extra door locks, a subscription service on your fucking smart house or some shit like that.
Or you
like
buy or it gets like really granular. Like think about it, right? Like where the builders it gets to a point because you know how we don't really own our games anymore. We just own licenses to them, especially digital games.
So the builders own certain licenses to like certain materials in the house?
No, they'll like technically own the house and they're just loaning it to you. You don't actually own the house anymore. Like so they can charge you for using the stove or using and they'll like supply you with these appliances, right? They'll charge you for using the stove or using your fucking laundry machine, your washing machine or your dryer or something like shit like that. Like I could totally see that, in some way. Oh, it's so easy. Like, oh, it's like owning an apartment. You don't have to replace the appliances. We'll do it for you. That kind of shit. Like, it's but it's a
one can
scam,
argue like insurance is already that, but you're right. You're 100%
true.
Right about
yes,
that.
Yeah. Well, there's the home warranties that you can buy. Those are the absolute worst. They are such a fucking scam, dude. I hate those things. God. So yeah. No, it's a dark world we're living in, man. It's heated seat subscriptions for a fucking car.
Never thought I'd see the day when I see that shit. That's crazy.
Me either, man. You were losing your shit the other day.
I was.
I don't blame you though. It's fucking bonkers, man. Yeah, I mean, think
like
about
no one sees the danger with it. Like, and then there were people in the comments of the tweet like, dick sucking fucking BMW, and like, well, technically it makes sense, guys. I mean, that's when the house analogy came up, and I'm like, bro, everyone in the comments was like, shut the fuck up, like just shut the fuck up,
No,
like
like
it's so
how
bad.
deranged have we become, dude? That we're like so in the thrall of corporate entities that we defend them for something like that. There's no defense for this. This is indefensible. The functionality is in the car. It's literally being blocked by software. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I have to hack. I'd probably have to hack my own car to do it for free, you know? Like, and I bet
Well,
you
you
I
know
could get
it's
fucking put in jail for that. That's insane.
well, you know it's interesting. I have a follower who's in Belgium or Germany. I can't remember. I think he's in Belgium or Germany. I want to say Belgium though, because that's the one that had the strict policies on microtransactions.
Yeah.
And he was very upset about it. I mean, he's a reasonable gamer, like me and him talk all the time and everything like that. But he was very upset, like that he couldn't participate in some microtransactions and everything like that. And he's like, where does it stop? Like, where does this? You're telling me I can't buy something because I can't control it. And I'm looking at it from his perspective. I'm like, that makes perfect sense. Like, who are you to tell me what the fuck I can and cannot
Yeah, it's a
buy?
libertarian viewpoint, which I have
Yeah,
for sure. I agree with that idea, right? I like to have the free,
exactly.
like right, this magic thing, right, going on with our friend group right now, super unhealthy. All of us are being crazy. We're spending way more money than we should, like way more money than
Yeah,
we've ever spent in such a short period of time, like as we've known each other. And theoretically, a government could come in, like Belgium per se could come in and say, well, this isn't something we want our citizens to be susceptible to, and
yeah,
like stop people from buying that shit. But we like it and we're doing it. We're having fun with it, even though we know it's like crazy. But that's the thing. Those are the two sides of the fucking spectrum, right? There's the extreme
yeah.
of unfettered capitalism where everything is available, and you like that seems like it's a little too far, because then we are like totally insane where we defend companies for doing fucking heinous shit, you know? But then Belgium's probably too far in the other direction where it's like you're restricting people's right to spend their own money on whatever they want to spend it on, to the point that game companies are not even putting their games in Belgium anymore because they don't want to fucking bother. They're not going to make any money off of it. So
Exactly.
fuck it. Fuck those
Exactly.
people, right? Like fuck that
Yeah.
country. So it's like it's a fucked up it's like a fucked up thing, dude. Like I kind of I understand your friend's plight, but at the same time, like I would caution you probably don't want to be where we are either,
And
because yeah.
that's exactly what I was trying to explain to him. I'm like, now we're in like unfiltered fucking capitalism over here, bro, and it's really bad. Like there are people who are suffering from addictions because they just can't stop buying. Like the whole thing, the whole concept of a whale, I'm pretty sure is like an American concept, and in other countries too.
Yeah.
Like because I'm pretty sure there are like whales in like Korea
Oh,
and like
Japan for sure, dude.
Japan for sure. And I think certain parts of China certain aspects of China as well.
Yeah.
But I know like the two big countries are Korea because they have like the same kind of system as us as far as like monetization and everything like that. And like you said, Japan. So I think there needs to be a balance. But it to me is just like, I don't know, man. I get what you're saying. I'm a very libertarian way as far as that goes, but it's like I'm also like on like the socialized side too. I'm like, bro, maybe we need a little bit of
I'm kind of
government intervention.
anti-capitalist though. I hate
Yeah,
capitalism, bro. Like I hate people who like come at me and they're like, oh, you don't have a better system. It's like, I mean, no, I don't, but that doesn't mean the system we have is perfect. Like, it's a
yeah,
dumb
yeah.
argument. Like,
I think it just needs to be regulated more. And not to be on a history lesson, this is not a fucking history podcast or economy podcast, but I'll say my little soapbox and then go. Like people reveal or not reveal, but people rev over like the 1950s and the golden age and all this other bullshit like that,
yeah,
1945 to
yeah.
1950s and early 60s and stuff like that. As far as economy wise, a lot of people don't know that they had a lot of socialized systems in place to to like make sure that companies are giving their fair share in taxes and everything of that nature. So the country
social security.
exactly. So that everyone can benefit off these taxes. Like when our parent or our great grandparents or me or your grandparents and probably some of our viewers great grandparents were going to college, like they did have colleges where they could pay off a fucking full ride tuition at like a university like I don't know Michigan or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
in the summertime, like going, working at McDonald's in the summertime. They can pay that shit off. It was like $4,000, 4 or 5 grand, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So like there was a lot of systems in place to keep, CEOs and corporations in place and everything like that. But we gotten rid of all that over the past 40 years. So now that's why we're seeing record highs for all these companies and all this like really, really bad capitalism. I think people just like look at the golden age of like America as far as financial wise. I'm not saying social wise, y'all. I'm saying financially wise, economy wise, and they're like, we want that. That's why capitalism is what it is. And it's like, man, we can't live in like, we were supposed to be where the Jetsons are being right now, but we're not, because we're like, it's
we're so obsessed with money that it impedes progress, dude. Like it's insane. It's
which is funny because people will say that the government impedes progress. So it's like, I think it's both though.
Well, they work in tandem together, right? The government's corrupt. Yep. They're bribed by the corporations making a shit ton of money. They're using their money for influence with the government, which then impedes progress because the government doesn't care. Like, it's just this vicious cycle. And then us here at the bottom, just random citizens, we can't do shit individually. Like, there's nothing we can do. The whole system is just like rigged against us in that way. I know I sound like a fucking conspiracy theorist right now, but it's like if you just look at it objectively though, it's fucking bullshit. Our government is full of corruption, the US government, dude. Like these people are openly take bribes. Like there's a term called lobbying that is legal bribery, like straight up. Like it's not a fucking secret, So yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is fucking bullshit, man. I'm like, there's going to come a day where this capitalism, this like tendency towards money is going to blow up on us, all of us. And then a lot of people, I feel like, I don't know, something major is going to happen with it. And then we're going to have a lot of people that have nothing, like it's just going to all fall apart. Like I like, that's really what I think. Like, I think a lot of the things we have that have value today are suddenly going to not have value anymore. And we're not going to know how to live.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, that's my conspiracy side of me thinking. Like, when I'm I don't really talk to Deanna about it because I don't want to, women don't really like to think about that type of shit.
No.
But like, not to be sexist, but a lot of it don't. But it's like, yeah, I think about that type of shit all the time. I mean, you know me. I prepare. I have like survival kits and all the other shit like that. Not because I'm a conspiracy theorist, but it's like because I feel like there's going to be something
practical,
that comes.
Dude. You're practical.
Yeah,
and I can't. This is something I struggle with in my personal and professional life. Is like that perspective that I have about society at large. It makes it really hard for me to be motivated to do anything related to my job because I feel like I'm doing it for nothing, like
I see. That's where I take the opposite. I'm very motivated to do a lot of stuff because like the more money I get now, the more I can prepare later on.
Yeah.
And the reason like I'm so prepared, I don't know if it affected Boston, but you remember like the 2008 crash, and then you remember before that it was the .com crash that happened.
Oh yeah, they were terrible.
Then it was like it was like a mini crash in like 2004.
Dude, I remember
before that happened.
Dad, he lost his job in 2000 and like couldn't find one for like a fucking year. It was insane.
Yeah, and like my dad in like 2004, 2005, he was making a lot of money, not in the .com, but he was like in manufacturing. So like, because Michigan was mainly manufacturing and stuff like that. That's when a lot of jobs started going overseas and everything like that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And he was making a lot of money. He had to start from the bottom all the way over again, and then work his way back up to the top. And just seeing that, and like from like 2004 all the way like 2010, it was crazy. And even when I graduated high school, it was so hard for me to get a job when I graduated high school. And then even a little bit after college, well, I had a job while I was working in college and everything like that, but like I just remember after high school it was terribly hard to get a job because I got fired from one of my other jobs. But during that time, the city wasn't really. I mean, I know the memes of Detroit being bad and dangerous. It wasn't really that bad. It was just really hard to find work. It's worse now, in my opinion. But it was really hard to find work. And I talked to people out here in Texas, and not to be offensive to Texans or whatever. But a lot of them didn't see it because they had their own thriving. They have a really thriving economy out here, and it's thriving and
Well,
everything like that.
I don't know. It feels like it's fast approaching
Yeah,
the like
it's
San Francisco situation.
yeah. No, you're right.
It's become insane really quickly here. Like houses
Yeah,
are worth twice what they worth like 2 years ago, dude. Like it's ridiculous. It's
it's
insane.
it's insane.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I don't know. I just feel like a lot of them don't really take it seriously. Um,
Yeah.
and some people want to move out of state and they don't know how bad it is actually out of state. So it's like,
Yeah, like this is
and
a good
we,
state to live in financially. It's not
yeah,
probably not a great state to live in politically or socially
politically,
at
yeah,
times. Yeah. At times. I wouldn't say all the time, but
at
um
times, yeah.
this shit with the abortion shit, like this is a moment where I'm just like I'm like, oh god, why do I live in a
Yeah,
state like this?
it's
Like.
well, the abortion shit, and then like even me being a gun owner, like the gun shit, like we can't come to like a middle ground on it, and I feel
Yeah.
like there needs to be a better middle ground than what we have now.
Yeah.
But we can't come to a middle ground on that when like 22 kids were killed or 22 people were killed. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like, um, I don't know. It's a lot to handle.
Yeah.
But that's why we play video games, to get away from this shit.
Yep. Yep. All right,
but
let's escape into the show,
yeah,
everybody. I
there
know.
you
Let's
go.
let's dive out of this political topic. All right, sorry guys, we got sidetracked. Me and Montrell, we go sometimes. We do this after the show sometimes, and a lot of the time it happens, and we literally will talk for 2 more hours or 3 more hours after we just recorded a 2-hour podcast. We're psychos. So yeah, you just got a little little peek at that there at the beginning of the show here. So all right, let's get into the show proper, everybody. This is our weekly show. We're talking about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. And sometimes we get sidetracked into politics or other weird topics. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us questions that we answer on the show, you can do so at the Players Take on Twitter, or you can send us an email to the Players Take 01 at gmail.com. All right, Montreal, let's get into it with what we've been playing. I think we've mostly been playing not much new this week, but is there anything that's not on your list you want to talk about?
No, I've been playing. I went back to playing League a little bit, but I've just been playing Norms. That's about it. Like I said, the game is really better if you just play Norms. Like I'm not even touching rank. I went into rank for about an hour, and I found myself getting mad. I'm like, nope, take my ass right. I'm at one of my games. Yeah. I was like, I'm taking my ass right back to Norms, and it's just
it gets to a point where winning isn't even fun anymore. Like
yeah.
So I get it.
So that's it for me. But besides the other games I've been playing,
okay. Outside of Sunbreak, I've been playing Heroes of Might and Magic 3, and I've been playing through Restoration of Arathia, which is the original release of the game, through the campaign for this, and I am now through I believe 4 campaigns, and I'm about to finish my 5th. And it's funny to play through this again because I forgot a lot of the Restoration of Arathia campaigns. I forgot how it's like super easy, right? This is like it almost feels like a tutorial for the game because it's so fucking easy. Like the odds are stacked in your favor on almost every map in this game. There's only been 2 maps so far where there's like somewhat of a slight challenge, the one I'm currently playing right now, and then there was one at the end of one of the Devil campaign, I believe. Yeah, there was like a slight challenge there for sure. But otherwise, this is like super easy, which is funny because Armageddon's Blade is the second expansion, and it ups the fucking difficulty ante like to a significant fucking degree. Like it is insanely hard at times. There are maps that are like super fucking difficult in that game or in that expansion. So playing through this has been fun, but I'm not like all the way there yet because these maps are so easy. They're like kind of mindless almost. And they hadn't figured out how to make these campaigns really satisfying yet because there's very little story in them. There's not much because the game will, when your turn starts, sometimes there'll be like a text box that pops on screen that has some kind of thing, like it's like a message from somebody within the game world talking to you specifically, giving you information or something, or maybe your scouts came back with some information, and it's like like narrative though. It's not like randomly generated or anything. It's like written narrative from the developers of like the story playing out a little bit, but it's not really there in Restoration of Arathia. There's very little of that. Whereas in Armageddon's Blade and Shadow of Death and all the expansions for Heroes 3, there's like a ton of story. They write like a fucking novel in each scenario, dude. Like where it's literally the box will pop up and it's like the size of like 2 pages of a large book, you know? Like it's fucking insane like how much text there is. And it's legitimately telling you a story, you know, where like your character things will be happening outside of what you're doing in the game, you know, kind of like explaining to you in narrative text, you know, kind of like what the story is, you know. So Restoration of Arathia doesn't really have that for the most part, and it's kind of just like a bunch of maps, you know. There's a little bit of set dressing, and then you just go and you win the scenario, and that's it, you know. And then you move on to the next one. There's a little cinematic that plays, and somebody's like speaking about what happened and what the next scenario's objective is, and then you get a little bit of text introducing the scenario, and then that's it. You're on, you're off, and that's it. So it's fun, but it's like not like super great, you know, comparatively. The game really became great with Armageddon's Blade. That's really where they figured it out. Because there are some mechanics, it's funny, there are some mechanics that don't exist in the base game, and they don't exist in the base campaigns, even with the expansions installed. Like moats in the game, like on castles, when you're doing a castle battle, like attacking somebody's castle, they don't damage creatures in the base game, but in the expansion they do. And they also stop movement. So they're very important for castle defense in the expansion. But in the base game, they're kind of useless. They don't really do anything. Like they'll stop movement, but that's all they do. They don't hurt creatures or anything. So you can't like bottleneck creatures there and constantly damage them every turn. You know, like it's not like tactically that useful. So so it's funny to play the game again. It's definitely got some, you know, weaknesses for sure, the base game does. But if anybody is actually interested in playing Heroes 3, like based on me talking about it, I definitely recommend starting with the base with the Restoration of Arathia, because it is that easy. It's a great way to learn the game, honestly.
Okay.
So yeah, having fun with that. I'm looking forward to getting out of the base game and into Armageddon's Blade this week, probably. Yeah, otherwise I've been playing Sunbreak. I haven't actually played since Sunday. This week has been insane at my job, so I've been very tired and really didn't have much brain power for anything more than Heroes, Might and Magic. So that's mostly what I've been doing. But yeah, I did play a lot of Sunbreak this past weekend. And you played a lot as well. I don't know. You've kind of, I feel like all of us have kind of taken a break from the game. Me, you, and Andy. I really haven't seen any of us on that much on it. So I mean, where are you at with this game?
I took a break from it yesterday. I just didn't want to burn myself out too early. Because I mean, I'm gonna be planning it like all next week because I'm taking a vacation.
Okay.
A staycation rather. I'm not leaving the podcast or anything. I'm not going out of town so I can still do the podcast.
Yeah.
But I'm just taking a week off because I desperately need it. Even my boss was like, "Hey, maybe you need to take a week off." And I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
But anyway, so like we were talking about it, and I'm having 2 different experiences now with the game.
Yeah.
And so like the team aspect of the game, I've been playing with you and Andy since I haven't even realized this. We've been playing Monster Hunter. We played like the last 3 Monster Hunter games with each other.
Yep.
And we all put hundreds of hours into the game in Monster Hunter with each other. So I've gotten accustomed to team fighting, whereas before I was strictly a solo fighter. Like that's all I did.
Yeah.
That's all I had. That's how I learned the monsters. Now that we are like on different time schedules again, and I have to do some solo hunting, the game's a lot more different than when I originally thought. And I really had to learn the game over again. I had to learn Sunbreak again. I think that's why I wasn't having as much fun as I was before. Because when you have to learn something over that you've already put like 100 and some odd hours into it, it can get a little tedious. Because you're like, I should know how to do this. I should know how to do that. But once I did put in that time, it kind of came back to me pretty fast. And I'm pretty sure if you've been doing it, it came back to you fast as well.
I'm good. Yeah. Dude, I'm literally, I'm having a harder time with the weaker monsters, funnily enough, solo than the hard ones, like the big hard ones. Like because their attack patterns are so weird and they're so small that my counter doesn't really work against him that well.
Yep.
So it's like kind of
No,
weird how you have to fight them, you know.
I completely understand. And
Yeah,
like for me, I'm learning two different weapons at the same time. Um, so I initially hated hammer, even with Sunbreak. I hated hammer and I hated the way it was designed in this game. Now it was just the fault of me not using all the tools that were available. Particularly the dash breaker, and keep away or keep sway. Um, those two moves significantly change the way hammer works. I am way more faster and nimble. I can get in, do powerful hits, and then get out. I have my some of my attacks like the dash breaker has super armor on it, so I can go
yeah,
through attacks now.
hmm,
Like I didn't realize all this stuff that I had, and then I had to learn how to do my counter. I just like I literally just went into hunts, and I even if I died 3 times, I was doing nothing but countering the monsters. Like
yeah,
that's what I was doing.
yeah,
Um, so um I'm having a lot more fun with it. But in regards to that, I am getting burned out because I'm at the end game, which I guess we'll talk about in a second here. And I just don't. I want to reach the end of my 2 trees because I was doing 3 weapons. I was doing the longsword. I completely hate how they did longsword now.
yeah,
I don't like it at all.
yeah.
It's not fun. Even though they nerfed the fuck out of it and they buffed it in other ways. The other ways they buffed it, I don't like it. I don't like the sacred sheath. A lot of people may disagree with me with that. I fucking hate it. I think it's terrible. Um, it looks cool, but it's like anime, and then like you gotta throw this ring around you to get damage, and you gotta keep the monster in that ring. And if you put your sword up, your ring goes away, and that takes a lot of your damage away from it.
That's annoying. Yeah,
So
that sounds
yeah,
annoying. Yeah,
I'm not really into that, and so I just ditched the longsword altogether. But shield and sword and hammer are great. Um, I thought about getting to dual blades, but it's a little bit complicated. I feel like dual blades are a little bit complicated for me,
yeah.
especially
It's
this late in the
dude.
game.
You know, it's funny how I always complain about how simple dual blades is, and they've. I think with Sunbreak, they've finally gotten it to a point where it's actually kind of a complex weapon now, like a little bit more
Yeah.
than normal. Like you can get by playing it in a simple way where all you do is like, you know, same couple combos over and over again. But dude, there's a lot of little things you can do now to up your damage and increase the amount of time you are attacking. Um,
Okay.
like there's a little sidestep they added with Sunbreak to the end of You can add it to the end of a combo, and it allows you to get around the side of a monster, dodge as well, and continue a combo. Like you can immediately go back into another combo. And this sidestep also does its own attack that actually does a decent amount of damage as well. It is not an insignificant amount. So it's like it's dude there's times where like especially when I was in grouping with you guys where like I don't know if you like we don't really pay attention to each other when we're hunting, but I don't know if you like see me sometimes where I'm fucking wailing on the monster. Like I'm just fucking full combo, sidestep, full combo into a jump fucking combo, go down its entire length of its entire fucking body, jump in the air again, hit its fucking tail, and then I'm like not even dodging. Like I'm literally just constantly
So
fucking
what's funny
attacking.
about
Yeah.
your character, bro, or
Yeah.
dual blades in general? I never see y'all because y'all move around so fucking much. It's insane how much y'all move around. Like you and insect glaive users, I don't see on the map
Yeah.
anymore. When y'all go fight the monster, I don't see y'all anymore.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. I like the combos that I get with shield and sword. It's a very viable weapon. Even with like hammer, like elementals is very good with hammers now. And how the same with your combos, how you can do combos and continue combos. Hammer has that
Yeah.
same quality as well, where I can reposition and continue my charge or continue my
Yeah.
attack
And
or
Sword and
even
Shield has that
counter.
too, dude. Which
Yeah,
is
and sword and shield has that.
yeah.
So I feel like they got the movement down right and everything like that. With Sunbreak, I feel like though more I play this game, the more I feel like this should have been in base, and we should have
Yeah.
got like a lot more. Because like we even said, like even on the Switch when we were playing on the Switch, in like the brief 30 hours I was playing on the Switch, I'm like, man, it'll be cool if I can swap my combo, my things mid hunt. Like that would be so
Yeah.
fucking cool.
Yeah.
If I can do that.
Yeah, and
And they,
why did that take a full expansion for us to get that feature? You know, like
yeah,
clearly they were developing it, dude. Like, why didn't you just put that in a patch? You got to save it for Sunbreak. Like, come on, man. You know, it's a little.
yeah.
That's a little shitty, man. You know, it's like dude. These are it's little things like that that are making me enjoy Monster Hunter less the more I play it, like, and less over time, because I'm just starting to notice this stuff where, like, dude, like Sunbreak, we had complained about Rise not having enough content at launch, and Sunbreak adds enough monsters where there's now enough in the game where it's like robust. It feels like a robust Monster Hunter game, but dude, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not comparable to Iceborne at all. It's like not even close. They only added 17 monsters, and only 4 or 5 of those are brand new. And there's just no subspecies. Like we don't even have Pink Rathian, Asia Rathalos. We don't have Gold Rathian, Silver Rathalos. Like we don't have any of that stuff. Like, and that's always been in G rank, dude. Like as far back as I can remember.
The problem with this game, with the whole game as a whole, right? Even later on in the game, you encounter, like, spoiler alert, skip ahead like 5 seconds or skip ahead.
Yeah.
To hit where I'm not going to say. You have anomaly monsters and or afflicted monsters rather.
Yeah.
And the problem with, like, the Apex monsters in the base and the afflicted monsters in Rise, well, there's a little bit of a difference. Afflicted monsters, you will need them to get your decoration for jewels or whatever, or your level 4 decorations.
And your rarity 10 weapons, all rarity
and your rarity 10
are locked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you want to get a master rank layered armor, you'll need that as well.
Yep. True.
So they do have some value to it.
Yeah, but this is, dude, I hate the way they do this in every game. I hate the way they do this in these games where, like, I don't remember World feeling like this, because this feels like an intentionally bloated end game system built to waste your time. And you could have maybe said the same thing about the guiding lands, but we talked about this a little privately. Like, the guiding lands, though, unlocked new monsters, like to the point that like Silver Rathalos or Gold Rathian were like locked behind leveling up the guiding lands, like certain areas of the guiding lands. And I remember we did that shit, and when we finally unlocked those monsters, it was fucking awesome. Like, it was like, it felt really gratifying. Whereas these anomaly monsters are not gratifying at all. They're annoying. They're bullshit. They just randomly explode and shoot you up against the wall and stun you, and then the monster gets another free hit, and you're lucky. You're lucky if you live, because it really just depends on what fucking move they use. It doesn't matter how high your armor is either. This is G rank, bro. Like, you're fucking gonna get wrecked if you get hit. Like, so it's like they're gimmicky and annoying, and some monsters I'm having no trouble with, and then certain ones we fight, like, dude, Hermitar the other day, we did that thing was fucking so annoying. We barely beat it. Like, it was ridiculous how annoying that thing was. And then, like, Argyros, which is the first one you fight, that one fucked me up, dude. Like, it's like,
he fucked me up too.
Rogi kicked the shit out of, Tetranodon kicked the shit out of. It's like some of the, like, fucking Aknasom kicked the shit out of. Like, they weren't even challenging remotely. Like, literally, it was just me and you wailing on this thing for 20 minutes, and it's just, like, boring. Like, there's no challenge whatsoever. And then some of them you fight, and it's like we can't even get an attack combo in because they're so fucking insane. Like, so
and then, like, my issue with it, right? Even with like arch tempered monsters in the world and everything like that, you had some kind of incentive to go against them. You had either a better weapon or whatever, and you have
the gems, dude. Remember the random gem drops? It was often from those quests. Yeah. Remember, and there was a weapon upgrade system locked behind materials that would drop from tempered and arch tempered. You remember that too, where you could upgrade your weapons even further. It wasn't like they would be.
I don't remember that.
They would be max rank, but you could, like, increase their attack or give them more affinity or add sharpness or add, like, element attack. You remember that?
That's right.
Yeah, that whole system. Right. This game doesn't, like, have anything like that either. It's just like it's just
It's just And then one thing I don't like that they hid the monsters behind, because I feel like our purple Rathian or our pink Rathian, right, is actually the Apex Rathian. Yeah. She's pink.
Yeah.
She's hidden behind that Apex Rathian, but there's no incentive to go back and fight the Apex monsters besides like certain gems you want to, or jewels you want to build, or decorations rather you want to build. But even then, when you fight them with mastering armor, they're bullshit. They're complete bullshit. Like, it's complete bullshit, and it's like, I don't know. I've never seen such a useless system. I've never seen such a tier of monsters get thrown away. In my Apex monsters don't fucking matter anymore.
Yeah.
You don't get any armor for them at
Right.
all. You don't get nothing for them at all. Like when at least when we fought against the Dread King fucking Rathlos, we had Dread King weapons, we had Dread King armor. Like
Yep.
there was a reason to fight this guy because he had superior armor that was way better than G rank. You fought him like 20 times or something like that. You got his level 10 armor or some shit like that. And it was crazy.
Yeah.
So there was a legitimate reason to do that. In this game, there's no reason. Like once I get the weapon I want, like I have the weapon I want now. Like both my weapons are level 10 now. It's like now there's no reason for me to even play the game. Like why should I play the game? I don't want to fight afflicted monsters, bro. They're fucking terrible. They're terribly designed, in my opinion.
I'm lucky that I'm playing an elemental weapon, right? Because I have to unlock all the elemental weapon trees, so I still have reason to play. And you're gonna have that with Sword and Shield if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. So you still have that, but that's not true of every weapon. What if somebody's a one weapon person, like a one weapon Andy, and they don't have a weapon that uses elements, and they make the best one, and that's it. You're right. Like you're done. Like the game's over. Like there's no more content for you, bro. And it's like
you can do that before you reach HR50. I mean MR50.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah. And that, like, there's a couple monsters we haven't fought that are still tied behind some of these things. Like I think Furious Rajang is on the list, and we haven't fought him yet.
Yeah, we haven't fought him yet.
And there's like a couple more we need to unlock. Like I haven't fought Narwa yet in G rank, and I'm sure there's a couple others that I'm forgetting that are like locked behind urgents. But yeah, I don't like the way they did this, because they what they did is they added G rank, and then they added another rank above G rank. That's what it feels like. It's like there's 4 ranks now instead of 3. And I'm like, but they didn't add any armor for the anomaly rank. All they did was lock the end of G rank behind that 4th rank. And it's like you have to fight everything again, and grind the shit out of this. Like it sucks.
And people were trying to make and I understand, and this is where I'm kind of falling back, because I understand this argument where it's like, just to play devil's advocate, this is the master rank, so you're supposed to be the master of your weapons. You are the master. So when you go against these monsters, these afflicted monsters, this is end game. So you're supposed to have some of the best gear to handle these high HP, high damage monsters and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I totally get that, and I understand that. But just make them fun to fight, man. Like I didn't even feel like they even, what, they didn't have to add afflicted monsters. They could have just made different variations of the Rogies or whatever, or
subspecies, dude.
Yeah, like, I would have been happy with that. I would have been happy with that.
This goes back to the lack of content, right? From Base Rise, like they did it here. This is where they did it. Is they didn't have time to put all the subspecies in that they want to put in. Well, they didn't really put any subspecies in, to be frank. There's like 3 probably, like in all of Sunbreak, but. So there's like no subspecies, and they replaced those with these anomaly monsters because that was easy for them to do. These anomaly monsters don't have any new attacks. They're the same attack patterns and everything. The only difference is they have random spots on their body that you have to attack, and they explode if you do enough damage, and they damage the monster even more. If you don't destroy them, the monster will randomly explode and fucking stun you, like I mentioned earlier. That's it. That's all they do. There's like, this probably took very little dev time to implement for these monsters, beyond like making sure they're not buggy and shit. Like they didn't have to make new animations or anything like that. It's like beyond like the explosion itself and the actual like animation of the spots glowing and stuff. Like so that's their way of bloating the game's content without putting a ton of effort in. And dude, in August, I'm feeling like this is like comical. I think we're gonna get like 10 monsters in August, dude. Like I really think we are. Like I have a
no. You are 100% right. I think we are gonna get like 10, and I say we probably gonna get 5 more in the coming like seasons, like in fucking September.
The next 2 title updates,
yeah. So I know they're not done with the game. I know they're gonna add more content. My only fear with the game, are they gonna add armor? And I shouldn't have to ask this question, but like I feel like Apex monsters are making me ask this question now. Are you gonna add armor with these new monsters that's coming out? What type of monsters are coming out? Like, are they going to be more fucking afflicted monsters? Right. Are they going to be are they going to be arch afflicted monsters? I don't want world
gimmicky bullshit. Yeah.
Like the arch monsters and temper arch monsters were the same monsters, but they just had
Higher HP, higher damage.
higher HP and higher damage, but there was no gimmick behind it. There was no you gotta hit the spots on it to make them explode, and if they don't explode, you get extra damage. Like I just want to fight the fucking monster, bro.
Yeah.
Like I'm already gotta deal with their bullshit, the monsters bullshit. Now I gotta deal with the game's bullshit on top of the monsters bullshit.
Yeah.
I think this game will be one of the most divisive Monster Hunter games because it's already separating the community, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because the community is going down. I didn't even put this in the chat, but like I was on the subreddit, and I think it was team. This is a guy named People, Peppo, and he's one of the people that I think he hunts with Erickson. You know who Erickson's, right? The one of the big Monster Hunter YouTube guys, bald head, bald redhead dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he does like long story short, he does speed runs and his main weapon is longsword. And he did like one of the triple, like it was him and 3 other people and they did a longsword video. But he put a mod in there and he did a speed run. But he put in the description the mod, but in the main title, what you do in Monster Hunter, you just put like monster, longsword, time. So people thought that was the official time, and no one bothered to read the fucking description. But we did put in the description like this is not an official speed one. This is a speed one for fun, and people fucking destroyed him. Like people in like it was like I think it was like Chinese players and Taiwanese players. They were like destroying him. They were like, "Yo, like this is not an official run. You're a fraud." Blah 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 blah. All this stuff. He's like, "I put it in a description," and it got so bad that he deleted his fucking video and apologized to the monster community on the subreddit. And I'm like, this is what this community became. Like this did not use.
They're like hyper elitist, dude. Like it's like Dark Souls level, like bullshit, man. Like it's it's become really insane. And dude, the level of like Capcom dick sucking going on, where like you say anything bad about this game, and bro, there are people that go down your throat. They're like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You need a better weapon, bro. You need better armor. You got to upgrade your armor, dude. What do your gems look like, bro? What's your talisman, man? What? Like, come on, it's like my gear is fine, bro. Oh well, I mean, I guess you just got to learn the monster patterns, dude. Like, it's like Jesus Christ, man. Like, it's like anomaly monsters aren't that hard, okay? Like, they're not that much harder than anything else in the game. They're just annoying. They're a gimmick, I'm not complaining about them because we died to them a couple times. Like, that's not what I'm complaining about.
That's a part of Monster Hunter. Like,
that's a part of if you're gonna play G rank at all, like karting is a part of the deal. Like, you're gonna kart sometimes. Not like I said, it doesn't matter how upgraded your armor is, bro. You taking damage when you get hit. Like, it's like you can't just barrel through shit in G rank. That's why it's so good.
That is a problem with the afflicted monsters for me, in my opinion. I feel like the game, which no one kind of talks about, I feel like the game gate keeps you into one specific style, which is higher damage, more optimized damage. Instead of you can do like some people used to do defensive builds. Like they used to have defensive gems and they used to make the best defensive armor they can build. And they build like there'll be a fucking great sword user or a fucking lance user. And they just be like straight defense and tanking the monster and stuff like that. And that was fun. And it was viable, especially for team play. Because if you put like the special taunt gems on you and everything like that, the monster will constantly be aiming for you, not taking you just taking a whole bunch of damage.
Almost like an MMO, right?
Exactly. And now I feel like that playstyle is like dead because the meta,
it's
like,
glass cannon, bro. Glass
cannon. And I feel like they really leaned into that.
Yeah, they did. They absolutely did. Almost all the new skills are offensive. Like,
yeah. And I just don't like how it's catering towards the speedrunners. Like, I just don't like, oh, well, since this speedrunner beat this Nagakuga in like 5 minutes or 2 minutes, we got to up the damage. We got to just keep going. It's like, bro, that speedrunner, it's literally 0.1% of the community. Not everybody can do that, bro. Not everybody can do that. And I feel like Capcom and the Monster Hunter team is looking at that and they're like, everyone can do that. And it's like, no, we can't. Like, I can probably beat the monster on a good day in 5 minutes.
Nor do we want to, though. That's the thing. I'm not looking to like beat everything in this fast the time as humanly possible. I don't care. I think the thing I like get annoyed about though is like when they purposefully bloat HP numbers like they've done with the anomaly monsters. Like, dude, I
Yeah.
fought a rogie by myself, and I don't even think I used the potion the entire hunt, and like literally, so I didn't really get hit, and I'm wailing on this thing constantly, like literally, I'm not like stopping my attack on this fucking thing, and it took me 19 and a half minutes to kill this thing, like a great rogie, like what are you talking about? Huh?
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
And then from what I hear, it gets better later on. But I mean, I think me and you kind of disagree on this part. I feel like specifically those monsters were designed for multiplayer. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like doing them solo. They're not fun solo. I hate fucking fighting inflicted monster solo. I will go online before I fight an inflicted monster solo because the HP numbers are so fucking bloated.
Well,
And
you're right
actually,
about
when
them
you're
being designed that way. I feel that playing them solo, they're like we're killing them faster than I am killing them alone for sure.
yeah, and I feel like when we're because we haven't played with Andy with the afflicted monsters, but even with me and you, we were targeting certain things. Like if they're up high, you were jumping up high and getting the fucking targets up high, and then I was like below getting it, and it was actually kind of fun. Like even though I was getting frustrated, I was actually having fun. I'm like, okay, I can see where they're going with this because it's more strategic and everything of that nature.
Well, we have to work together. Like we have to use each of us has to use our strengths, like to beat the monster, right? Yeah.
And that was fun, and I feel like they designed it for that type of play. But like solo play, in my opinion, even though they may be a little bit easier because they're targeted towards you and they might be more random, I feel like it's just terrible. Like I just do not have fun at all because the fights are so long, and it's like I know that people are like, well, the HP goes up when when you have more players and everything like that, and I just feel like some of the HP pools for like just single player is fucking ridiculous. Like,
yeah, I don't think the scaling is right.
It's not. It's definitely not. And this is the problem I had with Base Rise. I complained about this way back in Base Rise. I'm like, these numbers are kind of inflated. Like, this is kind of fucking wild. The amount of time you can do or whatever. And it's just like, I don't know where they go from here because this game has split up the community, and it's kind of their fault. To be honest with you, I mean, it's not their fault, but it is their fault. Instead of just delaying the game because of COVID, you should just delay this game. In my opinion, I feel like even this DLC, this Sunbreak DLC, delay it. They should have delayed it to next year because it would have been way more robust. It could have.
Oh my god!
I don't know.
Imagine if we were right and they add 10 monsters in August and then 5 in the other 2 title updates. Right, that's 20 more monsters added to the game. Imagine if that was all in the game when the game launched, like this expansion. That'd be 37 new monsters.
And they're adding new lands too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, and that's more than Iceborne, dude. Like we would be having a totally different conversation about this game. Like we'd be talking about it like it's like the most legendary Monster Hunter that's ever come out. And it's like, but
oh yeah, because don't get it twisted. If y'all go back and listen to our old podcast, we had huge gripes with Iceborne, particularly the fucking week. What's it called? Clutch Claw, and because I like the Clutch Claw, but in your case, it was like fucking terrible.
Oh, so bad for Double Blades, dude. I hated it.
But I like the Clutch Claw. But what I
never Clutch Clawed. I hated playing that game solo for that reason, man. Like I couldn't do it.
I love the Clutch Claw because it benefited my weapon so much. Because my weapon got a lot of additional upgrades. Yeah. But it was something called either tenderizing a monster or weakening a monster or something like that.
Yeah, that was the Clutch Claw mechanic, right? You had to attack the monster like 3 or 4 times, and it would weaken that spot and tenderize it, quote unquote, and you would do more damage to that spot. And remember, the numbers, like damage numbers, would have like the 4 little dots when you were damaging that spot. That it's a similar mechanic to this bullshit. But it was way more annoying in Iceborne because you had to, not only did you have to attach yourself to the monster, but you had to be on it long enough to attack it 3 or 4 times. When those full body hitbox attacks come out, bye-bye. See you later. You're off the monster. You got a Clutch Claw again, bitch. Like,
so we're not saying like that Iceborne was like this golden haven of games, but we saw the potential where they were going with the game. And I feel like with Rise, they took 1 step forward and then another 2 steps back. and I can't. I'm really trying to blame the team because like usually they do a really good job, and I understand um that COVID affected development times, and especially in Japan, it was it was way worse than it was over here in fucking America and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were more stricter with their lockdown, so they had to work on remote and everything like that. And I understand that, um, but I just feel like, man, at that point, just let the community know, like, hey, man, we got hit with COVID, and this game's going to be delayed at least another year. Like,
Yeah.
you know, because it's just not enough. And even the community itself, I understand what they're trying to do. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't understand why they're so defensive of Monster Hunter, because they want more Monster Hunters. That's what they're scared.
Yeah,
Capcom
but
has this weird history of
no,
pulling games when
no,
it just doesn't
no,
work out.
no, 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 no. If you feel that way, if you're out there, man, and you're being defensive about Monster Hunter because you think Capcom's suddenly gonna pull the rug out and no more Monster Hunter, get fuck off. You're an idiot. Like it's literally the highest selling franchise they've ever had. Iceborne sold more copies than any game in Capcom's fucking history. Monster Hunter's not going anywhere. Like, it's not going anywhere. So shut up. Like, there's nothing to worry about. Like, this isn't Tails, okay? Like, it's not the same. Not the same at all. So no, there's nothing to worry about there.
No, yeah, you're probably right. You're right. You are 100% right because it is one of their best selling games. So it's like I don't I don't know where we go from here because like there's so much stuff happening with this game.
Mm-hmm.
This game really, I think, like I said, next year or not next year, but the next Monster Hunter, I'm not even gonna buy it. I'm gonna wait till the actual expansion comes out because I feel like if I had to wait it with Sunbreak, for people who buying Sunbreak right now with base rise and you're just now getting into the game, oh, you're in for a fucking treat. Like this game is probably a 10 out of 10 for
Ton
you.
of content.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ton of content. But for like people like me, like I have the same issue. Ironically, though, I'm going to be playing the game a little bit more even after I play Xenoblade. Like, I feel like I'm going to be jumping in and out of this game constantly.
Yeah.
Whereas with Base Rise, I dropped that shit like a ton of bricks. I never dropped a Monster Hunter so fucking fast in my life. The last time I dropped a Monster Hunter game like that was 3. Like, that's how bad Base Rise was for me. Like, that's how. And I had friends playing with me and everything. So, I don't know. They need to do better. I hope, and I'm hoping and praying that they take like the Zelda team approach and they don't listen to the critics or their fans. They like replay the game. This is what needs to be done. Like we know what needs to be done. Because that team, I mean, I think both me and you agree that team, the Zelda team, they do a good job of like critiquing their own fucking games.
Yeah.
And I think this team does the same thing. And I hope and pray that the next game that comes out, they see the divide in the community, or they don't really listen to the community, but they see like things and go from there. Because I just don't like where the franchise is heading. I like the movement options that we got and everything like that nature. Oh, that's another thing too that we complained about. The monsters, even though they're harder, and I love that they're harder, and I love that they're have different move sets, and some of the monsters honestly feel like completely different from their base counterparts. I feel like a lot of the attack patterns, especially this is so apparent with the afflicted, you have to learn how to counter or you have to learn your guard points. And I understand like people are saying like, well, bro, you're supposed to be master rank, so you're supposed to master the weapon that you're using, and it's like.
Yeah,
Bro,
but
I
dodging is like almost not viable
negated.
in certain moments because, dude, the monsters, the anomaly monsters, especially, they curve their attacks. Like they don't just go like if they charge you, they don't just go in a straight line. Like if you move, they will follow you. Like, and this is not a joke. This isn't an optical illusion that I'm experiencing. Like fight a Kuluyaku or fight an Arzuros, bro. Those things curve, especially Kuluyaku's super obvious when he does this charge with like an egg in his hand or a rock. He literally ran in a circle around me, like trying to hit me, dude. Like it was fucking insane. Like I was like, what the fuck is this? Like I've never seen a monster do this before. So if that's something we're gonna have to contend with now going forward, it's like counters the only way, man. Like this is like iframe city, baby. Like we're gonna have to abuse the shit out of that, like more than we already are. It's like, so I don't know. I mean, the only other thing I'm worried about with the series going forward is I think the amount of content they put in the game. Is it's clear with Rise that they accepted a lower bar for that than they have in the past, and Base World is really the only one I can think of, only game I can think of, Monster Hunter game that was really like this, where it was like really lacking in number of monsters. But Rise was even worse, and Sunbreak, like I said, is acceptable at this point, but it's still not enough for me. And I think this series is, unfortunately, it's getting to a point of like Pokemon where it's become impossible. Like we're never going to get a Generations like Monster Hunter game again, where they put everything into one game.
And you know what? I'm not expecting that.
Yeah.
I'm just expecting. It's kind of wild. I'm expecting the bare minimum, bro. Just
Yeah.
give me. You don't even have to give me brand new monsters. Just give me fucking subspecies and add some attacks to those subspecies,
Yeah.
and then add armor for those subspecies, so I have incentive to play those subspecies, play against those subspecies monsters. Like that's all I really want, and that's all they really used to do even in the older games. They used to add some subspecies of the original games. If you don't know what subspecies are, it's a palette swap of the monsters. That's all they want, bro. In like two animations.
They're like blue instead of green, or something.
Yeah. And they'll add like maybe 2 or 3 animations to their attack.
Well,
or whatever.
Subspecies are usually a little bit more involved in that. They're pretty significantly changed.
It does depend on the monster, but yeah, you're right. They usually significantly change, but it's like it saves them cost though because they did the palette swap. So they're putting all that money into the extra animation or whatever. You don't have to worry about, making a whole new,
skeleton
model, and all, and all that shit. So I mean, that's the bare minimum I was asking for, and we didn't even get that. We didn't even get the blue Rathlos or the pink Rathian that has been in every Monster Hunter, every G Monster Hunter game since the beginning of Monster Hunter.
Ever. Yeah, I don't think it's ever not been in one. Dude, this is the first time.
And I go on the Reddit and no one's upset about this. Like no one. And then we had Silver Rathlos that became a staple since Freedom Unite.
Yeah.
We don't have that. Gold Rathian. We don't have that. And like no one's complaining about this. No one sees that this is a decline in quality. Like it mind boggles me. And I want to say, and this is like me trying to cope. This is my copium. I'm hoping it's because it's on the Switch. I'm praying that's what it is. That's what I'm hoping.
That's copium, bro.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
That should make it easier.
Yeah, I'm hoping because this is probably their last contract Switch game, like with Nintendo or whatever. Maybe this is their last contract with Switch or whatever. Because before, if you don't know Monster Hunter history, it was on the portables of all the games. World was its first inclusion back into consoles after being on portables forever. It was never on the mainline console since. Actually, I lied. It was on the Wii U, which I mean, okay, mainline console, but come on now, let's be honest. So it wasn't a Wii and a Wii U. Monster Hunter 3 was, which is objectively the worst Monster Hunter. But it went back to portables and it remained on portables, and they had an exclusive contract with Nintendo because the DS was the highest selling thing on the market. It was outselling the PSP and everything. So that's where Capcom went to. And I think this is like layover from that. I want to say that relationship, but bro, World so much. I think it's time to terminate that shit, man. Still make games for the Switch. Don't negate the Switch, but bro, like. I think they did themselves a disservice. This is a hot take. They could have kept the same implementations of World, and they could have combined the old style of Monster Hunter. They could have had separate loading screens for each zone, but each zone just be bigger, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like have like 5 zones instead of 7 or 10, but each of those 5 zones are fucking huge.
Mm-hmm.
And you have loading screens in between them. That way the Switch can load more into it. It can be like Xenoblade quality type shit. And they can do a lot more with the monsters and stuff like that. but I feel like they felt like they had to go the world route and they had to make a lot of compromises. And I just don't like the compromises. Don't justify what we got, in my opinion.
All right,
And that's my final take.
10 years from now, final question. We can move on. 10 years from now,
Okay,
do you think Monster Hunter is a free-to-play live service franchise?
100%, 100%.
I agree with you. That's all that needs to be said. All right, let's move into the news, Montrell. All right, our first piece of news is some news about Skate. Skate 4 is officially called
Speaking of
Skate.
fucking live,
Yeah,
fucking franchises.
shit that turned from a premium game to a live service game. Skate 4 is officially named Skate, and it is going to be a free-to-play game with microtransactions. And EA is insisting that the game will not have pay-to-win mechanics. Montrell, do you believe them?
Bro, no, you're gonna have to pay to get fucking tricks and shit. I'm not fucking stupid, bro.
But it's just
Like,
cosmetic, bro.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay to get tricks. Like you
Yeah.
are. I'm very. That actually killed my motivation for that. That's why I wasn't hyped when the game was announced. I was not hyped for it at all because I'm like, it's something. Something's gonna come and just blow it. And this was what it was. This is the actual nail in the coffin for me. Like, I'm not excited for the game anymore. I'm just tired of the micro bullshit, bro. Like, at first I was getting used to it, and I was like, okay, I can kind of Apex is kind of nice. I like this.
Yeah.
Okay, Fortnite it's kind of nice. I like this. Certain free to play games, even though this game's free to play as well. I guess it makes sense from a standpoint, like, oh, you can go to the skate park and you can,
well, they can sell you skateboard skins, obviously clothing.
Yep.
There's a lot of accessories they can sell. They can definitely sell microtransactions.
Yeah, and but like, is there going to be a single player? Like, is there going to be a campaign?
Yeah, I mean, what does a live service skateboarding game even look like, dude? Like, yeah, you playing like multiplayer? Is it going to be like a open world? Like, you go into a lobby and there's like 15 people skating around the skate park? I mean, maybe that is cool. That actually sounds maybe cool, but
that sounds cool for about 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else is there for me to do besides that?
I mean, I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not the target audience, right? So I don't really get the appeal of a skateboarding game. The idea of like skating around a fucking like open skate park by yourself with no one else there sounds really haunting and like kind of creepy, actually, to me. Like, not fun. It doesn't sound fun, but I don't know. So like,
no, you're right. You're right. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really cool in Tony Hawk Underground where you can do that. You can skate with other people and open up the game a lot more. I just like skating games. I like I like all the exports games. They're really fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
They captured a moment in time, like that early 2000s, where everybody had the fucking Jinko shorts and fucking spike hair and everything, and listen to fucking Smash Mouth and shit like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they captured that moment in the X Games and everything like that. But it's like now that time has passed, and I don't know. And I guess the next generation, they're actually still skating a lot. Like, a lot of these younger kids are still skating. It's still out there. It's just not mainstream anymore, but it's still out there, and there's still a lot of people doing it.
Yeah.
But it's just not corporatized anymore. So I mean, this would be a game for them. Yeah, I'm about to get it too on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, it's designed for people like me, but I feel like I guess it makes sense on paper. Like, I can just come in, skate a little while, and then leave. You know what I'm saying? Pay for like, a cool deck board or whatever, a cool deck, and some wheels, some customized wheels, and make my character look fucking zany and crazy and some shit like that while I'm skating, and then leave out. But I don't know, man. It just leaves a sour taste in my mouth that this is gonna be free to play. Like, this game used to be a really good contender for like Tony Hawk. It used to be a contender for that game. So it was like, and it was a more realistic take on skating as well. Whereas Tony Hawk was super arcade, this one was kind of more. It wasn't sim. It was like damn near like really good. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't know how appealing it's going to be. I mean, I think people have already reacted poorly to it. So we'll see how it does, I guess. But all right, Montrell. Let's move on. We still got a lot of stories to get through. Our next one is Ubisoft being Ubisoft, and then backpedaling. So earlier this week, Ubisoft on Steam, there was a notice on the Steam page for Assassin's Creed Liberation, saying that it was going to be unavailable as of September 1st, all DLC for the game, and that included people who purchased the game would not be able to play it. Which, I'm going to be honest, I think that would be a first for the video game industry if that actually happened. I don't think there's ever been a precedent of a game being available
digitally.
We
said it would happen.
Oh, I know. No, I know. No, when I started seeing this news, I started like cackling to myself. I was like, here we are, man. All digital future, baby. Here we go. Because obviously, there was a huge amount of blowback for this. And in Ubisoft, they came out yesterday or earlier today and backpedaled on this, saying that, if you bought the game, you'll still be able to play it. You just won't be able to play the multiplayer mode and any of that stuff. Maybe it was just a clerical error on Steam or something, or it was a mistake. Like, some people at Ubisoft just didn't realize, I mean, that seems unlikely, but maybe let's just say it was an honest mistake, but if it wasn't an honest mistake and this was intentional, how many other companies want to try to do this shit? Because think about this, dude. No, it becomes a cycle, Montrell. This is like a monetizable cycle they could take advantage of, right? Where you buy a game, right? We'll say a game comes out tomorrow. We buy it, and it's a really good game. We like it. It's like a really fun game. It's a game that like we really enjoy, and we become fans of the franchise, whatever it is. And then let's just say 5 years from now, they take it off the store and they remove access to it. You can't play it anymore. Even if you bought it, you can't play it anymore. There's no way to play it. Like, it's not available on anything, and then 5 years after that, they're like, oh, we're gonna remaster, blah 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 blah, and re-release it. And then they charge you $60 for it, or whatever the retail price of games is at that point. $80 for it, or whatever. And then they do the same thing 5 years after that. It's just, they could just do that, where it becomes almost like a cycle where you release a game, you let it be out there for 5 years, you cut it off, and then you re-release it 5 years after that. And then you let it be available for 5 years, and then you cut it off, and you just keep doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that with all your games, and you are making money, baby. Like that. Doesn't that sound like something that would appeal to video game executives? Am I crazy?
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, they probably got a remaster collection coming out sometime soon. I wouldn't be surprised in about next year. Ooh, the Assassin's Creed Ultimate Collection.
Yeah.
Where we have all the Assassin's Creed, including 2 remakes. Not just remasters, but we remade the game from the ground up.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, suck my dick. Like, I'm tired of it. And we even on our episode where we say all digital I'm gonna link that in Twitter, because that's a good episode.
Yeah.
We warned about this shit. We said, what if the companies just decide, because you don't buy the games. Even I buy games digitally, and I fucking hate it at the end of the day. Yeah. But it's like, because you don't own those games. You paid $60 for the game,
right?
But in the license and the fine print, you don't own the game. You just bought the license for the game.
They can do whatever they want.
They can swipe it off anytime they want to.
Yep.
Anytime.
Yep. They can make it unplayable in whatever form they want. I mean, think about how many multiplayer games have come and gone and died, right? That you no longer have access to, even if you bought it, right? It's like you can't even play it offline anymore, really. Like, it's like that's happened plenty of times, and everybody's like, oh, it's fine, it's reasonable. It's like, is it though? It's like, I mean, you did buy something, it's like, I mean, how long is it reasonably, like, should we have a reasonable expectation that a company will run a game? Because think about like Jump Force, right? Like that game, dude, that game's online component is getting shut off, I think, in a month. That game came out like 2 or 3 years ago.
I can't believe that. That game came out 2 or 3 years ago. Did it?
It did. I think it was 2019. Yeah. So yeah, it's like 3 years. That's insane for a new game to like cut off. In my opinion, for a game to cut off their online component 3 years after they came out, it's not like the game's dead. Like, it's like that was a successful video game. Like,
okay, it'll be 4 years in October.
Okay. It's still short though. Most games run for most of the generation, at
No, yeah,
least,
Destiny 1 is still going on. Like, you can still play Destiny 1
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and that's like, dude, like Halo 2 servers ran for like 10 or 12 years,
That
before they.
shit just shut down,
Yeah,
yeah.
you remember that? Like, you remember that shit?
Yeah.
Like, dude, that was like a big thing. And that's my point though. Like, game companies can do whatever they want. There's nothing stopping them from shutting the servers down after a year, you know? And they're like, we got our money's worth, you know? Fuck them. We don't need to run this anymore. Like, who's gonna stop them? Like, people are gonna get upset, but if they don't care, they're just gonna fucking, like, the only thing stopping them is like the perception of doing that. That's literally the only thing really stopping them. Because if they did that, right, the next game they release that's a live service game, people are not gonna buy it, or they're gonna question buying it because they're gonna be like, well, you're only gonna run this one for a year. I don't want to invest any money and time into this if you're gonna do that, So that's like the only thing. It's like that's the deterrent, is like that, basically, that perception. But it's like, I don't know, like, there's certain things though, if they do this cycle that I'm talking about, they like let you have it for a long enough period of time where people reasonably are like, whatever, it's not that big of a deal, and then they forget about the game for 5 more years, and it's long enough where like they're like, man, I really want to go back and play that game, just in time for the company to come out and be like, oh, we got a new remaster, it's $80, it's like, and you're like, oh yeah, hell yeah, I just wanted to play through that game again. It's like, no, bro, they like fucking stole the game from you, like you like, no, you don't give them more money for the game you bought 10 years ago. Like, no, that's stupid, but we already do it now, it's like, so I don't know. uh, I'm waiting for the day this happens in a real way, like a company actually does this, like, officially. But I don't know when that day is going to be. So, but not today. Ubisoft,
Not today.
they changed their mind. All right, Marshall, let's move on. This will probably be a short one, but I thought this was interesting. So Sony just announced today that they're introducing a loyalty program for PlayStation called PlayStation Stars, and they have a whole blog post about this. It mentioned that gamers will be able to earn stars/points. I don't know what they're gonna call it, for gameplay. If you're in PlayStation Plus, any of the tiers, you're going to earn these points for purchases, but you can also earn them by getting certain trophies, participating in certain events, things like that. I believe Xbox already has a system like this, but what they said was you're going to be able to use these points to buy games, buy DLC, and get like PlayStation Network credit. So, Montrell, what do you think of this? Does it sound good to you? Does that sound good? You get money for your games?
No, that sounds really cool, actually. I think a lot of companies should have been doing that. Like, get some kind of incentive to playing the game, and that makes
Yeah.
people want to play the games more, and
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. So yeah, I think that's really cool. The only problem I can see this with is like, because this is tied to your fucking trophies, right?
Well,
If I
I
read
don't
that
know.
correctly.
It said certain trophies, because I was going to mention this, is that this could be a lot cooler than it's probably going to be if the trophy system wasn't a totally broken ecosystem that Sony has not given a shit about. Because if trophies had a expectation of what they are and what they require you to do, there was some framework that developers had to work with trophies, then you could tie these points to trophy earning, right? But they can't do that because there are games that exist that totally break the trophy ecosystem, where like you can get a
Well,
platinum
that's
trophy for certain games in 30 seconds. There's games on the marketplace that literally let you do that. So
well, yeah,
platinums aren't all created equal, right?
yeah, and that's what I was going to get to. But I was looking at the other side. This will force developers to create like crazy platinums, or take development time out of these platinums, because they have to do this for this kind of monetary system. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
that could be a downside.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was just looking at it from the developer side. It can just be a hell landscape. But I guess, I mean, this is not from that side of the thing. So I don't know. It looks like it'll be interesting to see what comes from this, though.
Yeah, we'll pay attention to it. I'm gonna join. I'm gonna sign up for it for sure. But I'd love to be able to get like a free game every once in a while, just by playing on my PlayStation. That sounds good. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right, let's move on to our next story. We were talking about acquisitions earlier, and so we missed this like a month ago, but I wanted to bring it up because we've always been talking about this stuff since we started this podcast. So Saudi Arabia once again has made another investment in gaming, and this time it was an Embracer Group where they bought 5% of the company, and this was significant because Saudi Arabia's made a lot of investments in gaming in recent years. Actually, they have a 5% stake in Nintendo. They basically fully own SNK. They have let me see what else. They have a lot of other companies that they have invested in: Activision, Blizzard, Capcom, Nexon in South Korea as well. They have invested in all of these. By the way, they have invested gotten a 5% stake in Take-Two as well. Actually, so they are trying to invest in gaming in a big way. Like they want a piece of the pie, like everywhere, right? They're not trying to take over anybody. It doesn't look like, except for SNK. But they're not trying to take over anybody big, but they want to get their tendrils out. And they're doing this with Embracer to the point that Embracer actually announced the deal in a statement. And there was some blowback for this. So their CEO had to come out basically and release another statement, kind of explaining the move and talking about it. So I'm going to read a little bit of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but so quote, since our announcement 2 days ago regarding the investment by Savvy Gaming Group, I have received many questions. I would like to share some background and to provide you with a rationale for our decision. I understand and respect that there are different views on this topic. I don't claim to have the right answers, but I want it to be clear that this decision was not taken lightly. I appreciate this opportunity to explain my view on why this investment is an important step for Embracer and our combined journey as a company. I want to be clear that Embracer will continue to be operated by me, our operative CEOs, and management teams across the entire group. Embracer is built on the principles of freedom, inclusion, humanity, and openness. The transaction with SGG will not change this in any way. I have been asked over the past few days why we are accepting investment from an entity in a non-democratic country. To start, we need to look ourselves in the mirror. We are a public company and always have made hundreds of institutions from all parts of the world as shareholders, including investors from the Middle East and Africa and Asia region. Many of them have participated in the capital raising during the past years. Many others have joined over the open market. During the process, we have learned that the SGG parent, PIF, is one of the world's largest investors, including sizable ownership in many of our larger gaming peers. We genuinely believe that SGG, a fully commercial entity, has ambitions within gaming that are genuine in supporting the global ecosystem for our industry that are consistent with and important to the values and cultures of our industry. SGG is providing a sizable, truly long-term capital investment to support our strategy and our management so that we may continue the successful growth of our commercial businesses. My values as a Swedish entrepreneur are unwavering. We are a value-based company. Our commitment to a decentralized operating model that empowers great people to make their own decisions will always remain. End quote. So that is their statement justifying the move. Again, need I remind everybody, Saudi Arabia is not a democratic country. This is a country where women are basically forced to, wear coverings, and being gay is illegal. You will be executed for being gay in this country. They do public executions in this country. This is not a pleasant place to live, based on the values we have here in the United States. So, Montrell, we don't have to go like super deep on this, but this country is like starting to really like, this is like kind of like Tencent almost. It feels like it's not as nefarious because Tencent like literally is buying things like straight up. But do you like, how uncomfortable are you getting that all these influences from countries that I would consider not really aligned with our values are like investing in gaming in a heavy way? We got Saudi Arabia, we got China, and it's like, I mean, these are becoming bigger investments from those countries too.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about like earlier at the beginning of the podcast. I just don't like where this is going. I feel like eventually stuff like this is going to start influencing the games you play.
Yeah.
We're going to start having a lot less rather artistic integrity in the video games or creativity and things of that nature. I mean, like, I can only imagine. Imagine if like people are not. I don't think it's a big deal right now because SNK, right? I mean, SNK makes some good fighting games, but let's imagine and their characters they make in those fighting games aren't really like crazy or anything like that out of the ordinary. But let's imagine if they got a hold of Arc Systems, right? All of a sudden you won't have your big titty samurai anime samurai girl that's on Guilty Gear anymore with the eye patch. I can't remember her fucking name. But yeah, you won't have her anymore. She's gone, y'all. Because you know why? Guess who owns her? Fucking Saudi Arabia. And that shit ain't flying because I own 51% of this company, man. And I don't like that shit. Cover her ass up. Like I think that's what's gonna happen. And even though like I'm not into that type of shit, but other people may like the game because of that type of shit. And if the game company wants to make a game like that, they should be allowed to make a game like that. They shouldn't have any kind of like any kind of like, incentives not to or whatever the case may be. They should be censored. Yeah. They shouldn't be censored to make anything. And we had a huge issue with Sony. I didn't agree with Sony took all those games off their market because of censorship, in the West and everything like that.
The visual novels they cracked down on, right?
Yep. And even though I don't play those type of games, I think that's still like a huge, like, that's player choice. You have ratings on them. People in movies, we don't take movies out of theaters because they're rated R. They're rated R for a reason. Do not take your fucking child into that movie theater.
Right.
But anyway, I feel like Saudi Arabia, or not Saudi Arabia, but I feel like if more countries and more like political organizations and things of that nature, because it's only a matter of time before that starts happening, starts getting into gaming, then gaming it's already changing, and it's going to be changing for the worst, in my opinion, in the next coming years. I can see this having a drastic effect on video games in the next 10 years. Just imagine if the U.S. government invests in like fucking Activision or Call of Duty or some shit like that. Like,
suddenly they might go to them to make their military army shooter that is trying to recruit kids into the military.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't think I like where that said it.
The thing I want to point out about this is then this investment in Embracer was 8.1% of the company's overall shares, with 5.4% of voting rights, which that is a threshold for this kind of thing where you are suddenly in the range of maybe getting a board seat, and that's where it starts to get a little dicey with these kind of investments, where suddenly they have a say in what Embracer does now. It's not just an investment, right? Like, it's not just that the money's now going to them. It's the fact that they have a voice in the room. They're going to have a voice in the room, more than likely. And this is something that I think he talked about later in the statement as well. So it's probably a thing that's going to happen. And I don't know. I don't know how that plays out. So it's this slow thing that's like been building over the last several years, really the last decade, not specifically with Saudi Arabia, but like Tencent and China and stuff. But in general, and I don't know when we're going to start to see the effects, but I feel like we can't keep ignoring this, man. It just feels like the industry like barely talks about this shit, and
that's because like the industry is ran by like money hungry people. I feel like a lot of people in the gaming industry aren't really business savvy, except for the higher ups that run the money, and we just let it happen.
Well, it goes back to our conversation about capitalism, right? Like I think this is America's. This is going to be the United States' downfall. Is that we don't care about where money comes from as long as we make as much money as humanly possible. We don't care what we have to do to get there. Like that's just the goal. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep you guys posted. If we keep seeing any more of this, we will talk about it in the show like we usually do. So, all right, Montrell, let's move on. This is going to be a fun one to talk about. So, Unity. Recently, the company Unity that makes the game engine Unity recently acquired / merge with a company called Iron Source, who they are a company that helps video game developers monetize their games. The CEO of Unity recently gave an interview about this acquisition. And he had an interesting quote to say about monetization in video games. So, quote, Ferrari and some other high-end car manufacturers still use clay and carving knives. It's a very small portion of the gaming industry that works that way. And some of these people are my favorite people in the world to fight with. They're the most beautiful and pure, brilliant people. They're also some of the biggest fucking idiots. It used to be the case that developers would throw their game over the wall to the publicist and sales force with literally no interaction beforehand. That model is baked into the philosophy of a lot of art forms and medium, and it's one I am deeply respectful of. I know their dedication and care, but this industry divides people between those who still hold to that philosophy and those who massively embrace how to figure out what makes a successful product. End quote. Montrell. This is John Riccitiello, by the way. He's the CEO of Unity, and I just want to point out that this is a former EA executive on 2 different stints of time, from 1997 to 2004, and then 2007 to 2013. And he became the Unity CEO in 2014, end of 2014. So this is a guy that was in the industry, and he was part of one of gaming's biggest giants. He ran it for a while, and he might be part of the reason why EA is who they are today. So keep that context in mind. What do you make of this guy's quote?
Man, it's on par. I didn't know he was former CEOs of fucking EA, so it's on par. I mean, now it adds a lot of fucking context to that statement.
Yeah,
this is where we're headed now. Even our fucking tools are being
engines are going to be monetized.
Yeah, like in Unity, I don't use Unity, but I know one of my friends do. I think this is really actually going to kill it even further because, from what I understand now, from what my friends who develop video games, Unreal 5 is just unequivocally just so fucking easy. Like my friend took everything out of Unity and put it into Unreal 5. He's just like, I'm done with Unity. So like a statement like this, I would be fucking mad as fuck if I was like one of the executives, one of the board members. Who the fuck are you to say this? For us, Well,
so, also for an engine that's really popular with indies to go at people who are basically like, he's like kind of targeting those people because those are the people who left the big companies who are all about monetization because they don't want to make games that are all about monetization. They just want to make games that are fucking great games, that are beautiful games, that are like artistic, like that's their goal. And they're the ones who use this engine, not all the time. I mean, there's big companies that use Unity for sure, but like, dude, like, I mean, come on, man. That's kind of how you built the company, is off the backs of indies. Unity was a big thing for indies back when that first became like a real thing, and it just seems kind of weird to go at them so hard with a statement like this. I don't know. And also, it doesn't make sense, dude. Not every video game needs to have microtransactions in it, or it doesn't have to have a monetization model. Its monetization model could literally be, we're selling it for $20. You either buy it or you don't. Like, that's perfectly acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, you don't have to do anything more than that. And a lot of gamers don't want anything more than that. A lot of us are content to buy a game, and that is our only financial interaction with it. We buy a game once and then we're done, and we play it and we're fucking happy, So I don't know. Guys like this guy, dude, like when I did I recognized the name. I went and looked this up before the show. That's the reason I knew all those facts. I recognized John Riccitiello's name. I was like, he worked for EA, didn't he? And then I looked it up and I was like, yeah, he did. He was a fucking CEO for 6 years of EA. So he's coming from a place of like, he's always been this guy, it's not this. So this isn't like a surprise. This isn't a lot of left field. I didn't know he was running Unity though. That's interesting. But at the same time, it's like guys like this, man, they just don't. I don't know. Like, gaming has just become infected, man. Like, with people like this, it's all about money, dude. Like it was always going to happen, probably. It's like starting to happen with, dude. I'm like, no, like I went to Target earlier this week, and I was like floored by the fact that like Target has a manga section now.
Wait, really?
Yes. There's literally like a whole section in the books area with manga. Like, they have physical manga, like, and it's not a small amount either. Like, they had multiple shelving areas with it, and they also had fucking Japanese like action figures and shit and models. They had like those like super cheap like Gundam models that you can buy, the plastic ones. They had a bunch of
Yeah.
those, dude. Like at Target. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, man? Like, I'm like, dude, what happened? Is anime like fucking anime's mainstream, huh? Like what? Jesus Christ. Like, yeah, so I mean it's happening with everything. Like nothing's safe anymore. Money is the king, you know. If it can make you money, we're gonna invest in it and we're gonna change it and we're gonna make it make more money, you know. That's how it always goes with this shit. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, part of me is like, I'm like a little whimsical. It's like makes me sad to think about. It's like, man, I remember the 90s when everything was so pure, you know, in games and otherwise, anime as well, you know, where it was just like it was all about like maybe this was a sham. Maybe it never was like this, and I was just a kid, and I, you know, just perceived it this way. But it's just like it felt like it was more like passionate all around, right? Like the fans were more passionate. The fucking the people who made the games were more passionate. You know, it's like now it just feels so icky, dude. Like it's like, how can we monetize our game engine to help you monetize your game? You know, it's like, oh God, dude, you know.
That's probably why for me, well, even like cons and stuff like that. Like I used to go to conventions all the time, and I'm glad like a lot more people are into it and it's a lot more mainstream. So it's not there's good parts and bad parts of stuff being mainstreamed and everything like that because you're not ostracized for it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm glad kids don't have to go through that type of stuff anymore for liking like stuff like that. Because I remember back,
for sure,
you know, it was still, even when we were younger, I never really got teased for stuff like that, but I hear horror stories of other people getting teased for stuff like that. Even though I never really, oh, yeah. I'm sorry, but I never really got teased for it. Sometimes in some grades I hit it, and then especially towards like high school, I stopped giving a fuck, and I didn't go to like the anime clubs or anything like that. But people knew I watched anime and stuff like that, and there were other people I knew I watched anime, and there were people on the football team who watched anime, on the basketball team who watched anime. So it was like it wasn't really a big deal. I think it was just like if you embraced it a little bit too much or whatever. But then that's where cons started coming along. And cons got super popular and everything of that nature. So I liked it. But now, as of right now, bro, I haven't watched anime. No bullshit. I think the last anime I watched was like maybe 6 or 7 months ago in my old apartment. And that was like one episode of Demon Slayer. That was it.
Wow.
I haven't caught up on Attack on Titan. I think for me, it's just so much anime out there, and it just kind of oversaturated itself for me.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like watching the same type of anime and things of that nature, the shonen shit, like you kind of see the tropes all the time. You're like, okay, I'm tired of this power of friendship type shit, or he's gonna get a power boost out of nowhere. Like he's not gonna, you know. And yeah, so but anyway, unfortunately with this, CEOs and engines getting monetized and everything like that, this is a part of the industry now. This is the world we live in. And we had a huge gaming crash back in 2013, 2014. And maybe we're due for another one because this shit's getting out of control again.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, gaming's bigger than it's ever been, but it's just like, I don't know. It feels like there's just certain areas of it that's so like gross, man. It's like, I don't know, but that's the nice part about it though. It's so big. There's still plenty of like really wholesome games and game makers out there. That you can get through. So it's like you can kind of ignore it if you want to. It's like it's not that obnoxious that you can't avoid it, but it just sucks though, because there's certain games we all, games that some of us like that have turned into these like disgusting microtransaction ridden, I've talked about Blizzard to no end on this podcast. It's like to see what they were and what they became and what they are now, it's like so fucking depressing. But
yeah, it's like it's not the same. Not the same people that we grew up with. And I understand like those people are like retired and there's a new set of people. and everything like that. And things grow and people change and things and companies change and
Yeah.
we just got to get used to it. And it's a part of growing up. Hey man,
Hey
slice of
man,
life.
yeah, man, Montreal. I just grew up a little. I'm a grown ass man, but all right. So let's move on to our final story. This is probably an exciting one for a lot of folks. Bayonetta 3 has officially gotten a release date. It is coming on October 28th to Nintendo Switch exclusively. And not only that, so you know how we initially, when we first saw the launch trailer for this, or the trailer for this, the first trailer they showed, the teaser,
Mm-hmm.
where it was like Bayonetta was like really covered up. Like there wasn't a lot of like they weren't doing the nudity stuff that they had done in the prior two games. Well, apparently that was just for that trailer. It's all here, baby. If you want to see Bayonetta and her, naked glory, she'll be there for you. They have a mode, so it's like a PG mode basically. They're calling it naive angel mode, where like she won't be naked when she does her hair moves, so you can turn that on or off if you prefer. So they are not changing the series in a fundamental way. Nintendo
You
hasn't.
know what? I
Yeah,
think games should start doing that. That's a really good middle ground for
yeah.
people. If you don't want to play with that, if you want to play with that on, you can play with that on. If you
Hmm.
don't want to play with that off because you think it's like whatever, play with it off. I think that's actually a really cool thing.
I do
I'm
too.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I think it's a good point. Like, I think it's because I mean, we've talked about this on this show before. Like, Montreal and I are like kind of we're not like super into this shit. Like we're not like I don't in my video games and my media in general. I'm not looking for boobies. Like I'm not like it's not really like I don't need to. I
I
don't need to
do
see that
enjoy
shit.
it every time, and every once in a while. But yeah, like
Yeah, but I'm not.
I'm
Yeah,
not buying the game because I'm like, oh my god, she has big boobs. I need to buy that fucking game.
like there
Like
are times where it's okay and I enjoy it in a show or something or a game or something, but it's like most of the time it's there to get the horny boys, to buy the thing. It's like
exactly, yeah,
and that's obvious when it's there. And I'm gonna be honest, Bayonetta is one of those things. It is. I'm sure some people would disagree with me on this, but I actually don't feel like it's there for the horny boys. It's like kind of part of the whole shtick of what the game is doing.
yeah.
So I'm okay with it in Bayonetta. That's why it was so notable when it wasn't there when they were showing the game initially. So yeah, I think it's a good middle ground. I agree with you totally. But Montreal, um, have you played Bayonetta 1 and 2? Like, have you beaten either one of them?
Yeah. The
Okay.
fuck?
I mean, I don't know. You never talk about you don't really talk about Bayonetta that much. It's always DMC, bro. DMC.
Because uh I don't know. Bayonetta 2 especially really turned me off the series a little
Okay.
bit. I didn't like the direction it went.
Yeah, then
Bayonetta 1.
don't come at me so offended that I'm asking you this question. Like, Jesus.
No, Bayonetta 1 though was really good. It's just at the time when I played Bayonetta 1, I was in a different mindset. I wanted like all the jump canceling and everything like that, and it barely has that. But it has really good combos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I had to. It was like learning. It's actually like not fundamentally different from DMC, but it is different from DMC, but in a good way.
Yeah.
So that's my memory of the Bayonetta. I'm pretty sure if I play it now again, I would love it. But at the time, I was still kind of like jaded by it because it had certain things that were missing from DMC that I liked.
Yeah.
But it is way more. I do remember being way more smoother and way more robust and everything of that nature. So no, I like the game. I never really had any complaints about it at all. To be honest with you.
Well, are you gonna play 3 then?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay. Yeah, I've never beaten either game. I played one. I tried to play through one a long time ago. I forget how long ago now. It's several years at this point. I got really hung up on the whole score system. And this is probably why I've never played Devil May Cry either. I really I really hate games that like have a score system like in them and you get like ratings and like things are locked behind you getting a good rating. I hate that shit. It drives me insane. Like I'm so OCD about it. Like I would have to like when I was playing Bayonetta, I had to get an S rank on fucking every fight, And
Yeah.
it's just I hate it. Like it like ruins the game for me. You know, it's like that whole meta game like destroys the whole thing for me because the game itself really enjoyed it. The fighting is great. The combat's fucking excellent. The story's really fun and weird and like silly and like I like Bayonetta as a character too. But yeah, it just like killed it for me. So I don't know. I probably need to play through it again and just like care less about the score stuff. But
it really doesn't matter. I know it's there. But you get used to it.
But weren't there like
you
power ups and shit locked behind it?
Not necessarily. You got like points, and you can use points to get power up more weapons and stuff like that. But the game was meant to be replayed. Mm-hmm. Like these games are meant to be constantly replayed. So that's why they have those type of systems in place. Oh. Because you're not going to unlock everything in the first playthrough.
Okay.
You're not. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, so I don't know. I need to play through it again. I probably feel like I probably would enjoy both of these games a lot, but now I'm gonna have 3 games to play in October, so that'll be fun. Do you know they really released 1 and 2 on Switch, right?
On Switch, yep.
Okay. Yeah, which means they're probably available digitally. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure the physical version is probably $300, but
yeah, you can get 1 and 2. Actually, I think. Yeah, you can get one. I think I have it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can probably let you borrow it. I gotta check my case. I think I do have it though.
Okay.
Also, you can get it on. There was some kind of weird collection because Bayonetta 2 was exclusive, right, to Switch or.
Yes.
Oh, you know what?
No, Bayonetta. No, it was Wii U. It was Wii U. Yeah,
it was Wii U. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, Wii U. Yep.
Well, that was the funny part is that it was only on Wii U, right? And it was like, Wii U is such a failure of a console that the game costs like $200 because the physical version, because that was the only way to play it, So it was like hyper rare, But yeah, they re-released it on Switch in a bundle, 1 and 2 together, so you can play both on Switch.
You can get it for $30 used at GameStop.
Okay. Oh, so maybe they printed a good amount of it, but I'll check it out. Maybe see if I can get a copy, or I'll just borrow yours.
I actually have the Wii U version, so
you should look that up, dude, and see if it's worth anything.
I should.
Yeah, like, are you ever actually gonna play that again? Like, realistically?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, like, fuck it, man. If it's worth like $200, sell that shit, man, bro.
I still have my Xenoblade.
Okay, keep that. There's no other way to play that. That's probably worth $200, actually. Yeah, let me go look. Xenoblade Chronicles X. Let's see. Let's go to Amazon. What do they got? $80? Okay. Oh, that's not terrible. Okay. I figured that would be a lot worse, but since it hasn't been re-released. But all right, cool. Well, Montrell, that's all we got this week. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
Oh, sir, that's it for me.
All right, let's close this out. We went a little longer than we were intending this week, so
way longer.
We can never. It's just like, I don't know what's going on with us lately. Like we're back to like we can't get under like an hour 45 anymore again. So well, I'm sure those of you listening are okay with that. So all right, everybody, if you like this show, like the episode, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please share it with your friends. If you'd like to interact with either of us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrapForTheHokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at ThunderNut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that is going to be it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week. Bye.